earlier we said that no matter whether it's managerial, financial, or discretionary or mandatory, we need an AIS to record, to process, and to generate these information, right? And besides that, AIS also plays a role from a cost-benefit perspective. So for discretionary information, since they are voluntary, right, or just internal, the managers don't have any obligation to report to the outsiders. So it's purely for their own use. So in that case, the managers will actually consider the cost and benefit of generating such information. And a rational manager, as we often say it, will generate discretionary information only if the benefits outweigh the cost, right? So let's say in managerial accounting, mostly we deal with costs, right? So there's a very sophisticated cost or costing method called activity-based costing, right? Which is to say you decide the cost of your product by the level of activity. For example, based on your machine's hours of running, right? But for the manager to get this activity-based costs, they have to collect information. Maybe this is a quiz for you. So let's say if a manager wants to generate activity-based costs for its product, what kind of data does the manager need? So let's say here you want to look at allocate the cost based on, let's say, hours of machine operation. So let's say they want to allocate the cost by the activity of the machines, right? So intuitively, let's say the more time the machine runs, then the more cost you allocate to that batch of product, something like that. So actually, I'm already giving you the answer there. So if I were the manager, right, I would collect the total, let's say, total amount of electricity bill that this machine used, right? And then I would look at how many hours has this machine run for this batch of product, and then I allocate proportionally 2 different batches of product by how many hours they use, right? So that is like a way you do activity-based costing, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. So for that to happen, you need to get the data, like very detailed data as to how many hours this machine has been running for different batches of product. Right? So you have to be very, very detailed. So there's a trade-off between being very precise versus like having to invest a lot of energy and time to figure out all these detailed information, right? So if it's too complicated to get such detailed information, managers are gonna say, forget about it. Let's just do a simple average cost, right? Let's just divide the total cost by the number of products that we produce. That's it. Instead of doing a more precise activity-based costing, right? So there is a cost-benefit trade-off. So what AIS can do is that with a very sophisticated and well-designed AIS system, you can actually capture those detailed information to enable managers to produce such precise and high-quality information. So you can design a system that can directly record the number of hours a machine worked for certain batches, and then you can directly generate the types of costs that you want. And if that's the case, then managers will say, yes, if it's very easy to get this information, then yeah, let's use the better approach, right? Instead of using very rudimentary methods. So that is to say, with a better AIS, managers can make better decisions because they have higher quality information. And the same cost benefit consideration also exists for mandatory information. So because for mandatory information, managers have to produce, right? No matter what. So a rational manager will want to minimize the cost producing such mandatory information, right? The easier, the better. So if the firm has a very efficient and sophisticated AIS system, then it will be very, very helpful for the managers because it's easy to produce and it's not costly. So that means an effective AIS can also contribute to higher quality of the mandatory information.